I'm Gabriela Pastori. I am head of international at one of the 7 research councils in the UK, the one for biotechnology and biological sciences. But I'm here to speak to you as chair of one of the 6 strategic working groups, the one on the biological and medical sciences, which a few years ago was transformed into health and food. So we are a group of people, and I thought I would put the names because you might recognize some of them from a number of countries across Europe with a wide range of expertise. And together we do many things, and among this we do a landscape analysis, which we all have to do as part of our work in Pastori, which is an essential component of the roadmap, and we think it's quite important to describe the current context of the EU research infrastructure ecosystem, how it interacts with other fields. It's also for us a reference for the monitoring and the evaluations that we do and the assessment of the new proposals that come to our field. And also it helps us in anticipating future trends and preparing for this. So we have a number of landmarks and projects, and I thought I would put just the pictures so that you can see them. We cover, as you can see, from atoms and molecules right through to populations and ecosystems. So it's really, covering a vast remit. And I'm not going to go through all the names, but I will just flag that we have 4 generations now of research infrastructures. Some of these are of generic nature, like bioinformatics, structural biology, imaging, chemical biology. Others are more specialized on the biomedical side or the biological side, and they all have occupy or have a position in the landscape and have been trying to work together as well and connecting to each other in the most appropriate and effective way. So as part of the landscape analysis that we do, we also look at identifying gaps and promoting inter and cross-disciplinary aspects. And this has been for years and years, as Gelsomina has flagged, something that is intrinsic to what we do. We seek out for this. And we also explore complementarities because we're really keen to, not only for effectiveness and for the good reasons that all funders have, but also complementarities within the field, which is vast, but also with other fields, with other domains at the boundaries. And you will hear a little bit more about this. Part of this effectiveness and exploring of the landscape is developing a way for us to assess the social and economic impact of our rise in the food and health domain. Because assessing the scientific quality is a common practice. I wouldn't say it's easy, but we know how to do it. But for us in the life sciences, it's a bit more difficult to assess the impact of research on society. Economic impact is easier, but research on societal impact is more difficult for us. A question for our working group is how best to measure and capture the social impact of our rise. Why do we do it? I will probably say things that have been said before, but yes, we have to demonstrate effective use of public funds, taxpayers' money, evidence for policy making, and this is happening, and it's really, really important to inform decision making. And as others have said, this is a feedback, between the ministries, the funders, and the infrastructures. And I think so far we have had a very constructive feedback together, and Pastori is a proof of that. We need to provide evidence for societal and economic benefits and ensure the sustainability. But in addition to this, it builds our understanding of the field, of the landscape, how it keeps evolving. And I think we all need to build that understanding, together. We consider the different stages of the life cycle, like others have mentioned or will mention, the different contexts, regional, European, global, national, and of course in our case these are all distributed infrastructures and with some virtual services, so this has got an implication as well. So we use the benefits framework that was flagged this morning by Matthew Woolard as the skeleton on which we pan all our bullets, if you like, looking at the 6 types of benefits. And together with this, we combine it with other important reports, like the OECD report described by Jai Mulan this morning, and other frameworks. But this is the skeleton we use. And I'm not going to show you, but we have a long table with each of these 6 sections, trying to compile what we are looking for, examples, really building our understanding for each of the infrastructures. What are we looking to measure or to follow up? And the stories are quite illustrative and really interesting. So now, if you combine the socio-economic impact and that, this assessment we're trying to do, which is also part of the assessment we do of the infrastructures, is one of the criteria, and we combine it with a landscape analysis, what we've been doing for years now, and this is a very simplified version, a diagram we published in the previous roadmap, 2016, we've been exploring gaps and opportunities at the boundaries with other domains. And some areas were mentioned already, but of course, the ethical aspects with social culture and innovation, but also, important areas like food systems, consumer demand and behavior, the links to the food value chain, from farmers to consumers, nutrition, and then you go into land use change, how it affects societies, how societies affected, how do you divide the land to use it for bioenergy, for food. I mean, it's just really, really vast. So we have found a number of areas where we think there are huge opportunities, and we've been discussing extensively with the other chairs how to take this forward. So another simplified version is this diagram, which we just started building, and it's to do with some connections need to be bilateral, with social sciences, for example, but others are multilateral, so it makes this even more complex. And an example of this is, these kind of diagrams where we show the big bubble of health and food and the relationship with social and cultural innovation, and then how it builds with other domains. And I'm not going to go through these, each of them, but just to show you, really trying hard to explore and to try to visualize. I'm a visual person, so I need to see I need to see things plotted. So to illustrate some of the areas we are seeking to connect, these are not all the areas, but I thought I would flag, a number of them. Some have been flagged, the longitudinal studies in the area of health that SHARE, for example, has, but other infrastructures will have, and the cohort studies in the healthy population. And a lot is being done in the health domain, as was mentioned, and also in the social sciences and humanities. So it would be important to connect. Anthropological studies is another area of interest, all that has to do with ELSI, and a more complex area of the new technologies, including this biomedical engineering and novel therapeutics, and how it all links with precision medicine, which is really a vast area, with where connections to your field are necessary from the beginning, and you need to follow up. I really like some of the discussions yesterday, because new technologies, how they're used and affected in each of the countries and contexts where you are. So the precision medicine is a typical one, how personalized medicine is applied in each of our countries. So I'm getting to the end. In the area of food, Gelsomina mentioned some of these areas related to climate change and how we use the land, and in our case, new technologies towards precision agriculture, using drones, satellites, and all of that, needs to have a connection to society, to this field. I've already mentioned the bioenergy, the land use, food systems, and I wanted to also flag the health, environment, and air pollution, which was an area that for probably 2 years we've been discussing at the working group. So finally, for us, there is a continued need for a pan-European approach, towards the future. we have found that not all the gaps are new S-phrases. There are many types of gaps, and some of these gaps are the connections that are needed between domains, and especially with your domain in this case. So these connections can be bilateral, multilateral. They're pretty complex, but we need to make an extra effort to really achieve it, because there are huge opportunities there. And I think the main goal we have is to achieve true interdisciplinarity. And I think I'm so pleased, because I put this, before I came, in fact, I at the last ESPRI forum, I said, and yeah, we've done a lot, and a lot of what we do is interdisciplinary nature, but I think we need to work even harder to achieve it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.